6 o'clock, good evening. Here's the news at 6 on Impact Business Radio, Ibr92.5FM. The headlines. Obasanjo Shibajo laments political instability and military incision in politics in Africa. Lawmakers of Fanifere decry rising insecurity, condemn Kaduna International Airport attack by terrorists. Federal government describes rising prices of petroleum products as global problem, promises to reduce hardship faced by Nigerians. Court clears former minister Turaki of money laundering charges. And the foreign Taliban government begins no beard, no work rule, mandates employees to adhere to dress code or risk being fired. Now the news in details. I am Bolabo. Moscow. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo says African countries are currently going through a perilous storm following political instability and the military incision and politics in some part of the continent. Speaking at an event in Abeokuta, Obasanjo condemned the military takeover of democratically elected government in some African countries, stressing that democracy is West Africa and indeed Africa requires urgent attention. He also lamented that coup d'etat, election fraud, and political violence and instability have crippled the growth of Africa. The former president, however, noted that power grabbing and governance through the gun will not help Africa or procure democracy through judiciary. According to him, the continent needs a peaceful democracy which is respect for the will and future of the people. Also speaking at the event, Vice President Yemi Oshibajo bemoaned military incursion into democratic regimes of some African countries. Oshibajo affirmed that the only way the African continent can develop is through peaceful democratic transition of government. He was also called on the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, the African Union and all the African organizations to rise up to the challenge and do more in ensuring political and economic stability of West Africa and Africa at large.
In recent years, we have witnessed a return of coup d'etat, election fraud, and political violence resulting in instability and threatening the developmental gains we have made in the last couple of decades. Power grabbing and the governance through the gun will not help us, nor procure democracy through the judiciary. What we need is peaceful democracy that has respect for the will of the people and the future of our nations.
Since 2017, there have been 12 military coups in Africa, and half of them occurred since 2020. 2 months ago, the democratically elected government of Burkina Faso was overthrown, while only in February there was an attempted coup in Guinea-Bissau, and a sophisticated punitive framework for responding to extra-constitutional political interventions. But we have not yet been able to formulate a similarly sophisticated framework for addressing the infractions of elected governments that fall short of democratic best practice or break faith with their citizens. If this concern is left unaddressed, it will deepen the perception of regional groupings such as ECOWAS as being no more than elite transnational clubs or powerful leaders only interested in maintaining their own privileges.
The minority caucus in the House of Representatives has expressed shock over the attack of the Kaduna International Airport by terrorists. In a statement, the minority leader of the House, Ndidi Elumelu, said the development affirmed the collapsed state of the nation's security system and intelligence gathering coordination under the present administration. The lawmaker faulted the federal government over its failure to secure the safety of the people. Elumelu noted that the attack is coming at a time when roads, railways and communities across the country have been overrun by bandits, kidnappers and invaders. He noted that the attack is a worrisome signal to the international community regarding the safety of the nation's airports and the worsening insecurity in the country. The lawmakers therefore call for an urgent, comprehensive investigation into the circumstances which led to attack, even as they advised the federal government to immediately beef up security in all airports and other public convergence facilities across the country. Terrorists had over the weekend invaded the Kaduna International Airport located in Igabi local government area of the state, disrupting operation and killing one security personnel of the Nigerian Airspace Management Agency. In a related development, the Pan-Yoruba Social Political Organization, Afenifere, has expressed concern that Nigeria may be heading the Afghanistan way following the Kaduna airport attack by terrorists, decrying the state of security in the country. Afenifere urged the federal government to do something immediately about the security situation of the country. In a statement, the National Publicity Secretary of the group, Jare Ajayi, said with terrorists having the audacity to attack a national airport despite all available security apparatus, nowhere is safe any longer in the country. Ajayi maintained that the attack is an indication of how bad the level of the nation's security situation has reached. A further called on those who believe in freedom, peaceful coexistence, personal liberty, true knowledge, and progress to rise up with a view to ensuring that those who should act to do so immediately. Ajayi also admonished the state governors to be more creative in dealing with the challenges in their respective states and stop looking up to the federal government for succor. In a bid to put an end to insurgency, the Northeast Development Commission has announced plans to establish a rail line which will link the six northeastern states with the south to ease transportation of people and goods. Speaking with newsmen, the managing director of the commission, Mohammed Goni, said the rail line will connect Yola to Gobe, Jalingo to Yobe, and Maiduguri to south-south. Goni affirmed that the move will encourage interstate trades, put an end to the activities of insurgents in the zone. Goni added that the move will also encourage programs and schemes which will promote and facilitate the physical and socio-economic development of the zone.
Today's joint consultative meeting with all representative groups of stakeholders in the state, the MDAs, legislature, judiciary, local government officials, security agencies, traditional and religious leaders, private sector, CSOs, humanitarian development partner actors, women and youth groups, persons living with disabilities will be followed by finalization of a draft plan that will eventually be presented for validation. The essence of having these diverse stakeholders under one roof here today, therefore, is to harness their individual and collective inputs to enrich the process and align with the NEDC's policy of inclusiveness and bottom-up approach. The 10-year plan consists of 10 pillars, which will encompass the relevant aspects of policies and programs of the state and those of other partners. In this meeting, the progress made so far in the master plan project will be presented to stakeholders and their input solicited thereafter for inclusion in the plan. During the technical sessions, discussions are expected to focus on schemes, programs, and projects that should be included in the master plan to alleviate poverty and create prosperity in the state in particular and the Northeast region in general.
We, as a government in Adamawa State, will continue to appreciate the federal government for giving us NEDC. We will continue to appreciate the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, for having the courage and providing the necessary political will to ensure that the NEDC takes off. Because at this time and moment that the country is highly heated, it is a very bold step. So we appreciate that. But we also do believe that the onus is on us.
Cooperation of peace-loving individuals and corporate bodies is essential for the nation's security architecture to be efficient in tackling the rising cases of banditry, kidnapping, and killings in the country. This was disclosed by stakeholders at the forum to address the security challenges of the nation in Osogbo, the Osun State capital. The stakeholders said bad governance is responsible for the level of insecurity threatening the corporate existence of the nation. They noted that insecurity poses threats to lives and property, hampers business activities, and restrains local and foreign investors, thereby leading to deficit in Nigeria's social and economic growth and development.
Governance has nothing to do with age. We have had young people who have not performed well at all. So it's not about age. And we have had, older people who have performed well. So whoever, whether young or old, age should not be the only criteria for choosing those who are going to elect us.
This insecurity in the nation, you can hear it from National Missioner, you can hear it from myself. It's a problem that needs to be solved. And we need to cooperate with government in order to get it solved. The government has its own role to play. We as citizens, we also have our own role to play. It's when we work together in tandem that we can easily resolve this problem.
Part of parents, we need to go back to our morals. Teach our children the way to live, the way to go. Let them know the Lord Almighty that does everything for everybody.
The smallest unit of a family is very, very important in the development of any country. If the smallest unit is very good and is doing well, then the community will get in return very responsible and reliable service.
The federal government has disclosed that the rise in prices of petroleum products, including petrol, diesel, aviation fuel, and cooking gas in the country are a global problem, also experienced in the United Kingdom and United States. Speaking with newsmen today in Abuja, the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, said presenting them as one of the challenges facing the nation is mischievous, disingenuous, and a clear act of misinformation. He maintained that the fuel crisis experienced across the country in recent times has started easing as measures put in place by the federal government are yielding positive results. Also, the minister alleged that the desperation of the People's Democratic Party to return to power in 2023 is responsible for its plans to sabotage the successes of the present administration. Mohammed accused the PDP of trying to overheat the polity and misinform Nigerians on the achievement of the Buhari-led administration. He, however, noted that the federal government will continue to do everything possible to ease the hardships being faced by the people. Away from that, a non-governmental initiative, Education for All, has again reaffirmed its commitment to helping students fulfill their dreams and achieving the desired academic goals. This is as the initiative presented a cash gift of 15,000 naira to over 90 public secondary school students in Oyo State for the purchase of their National Examination Council NECO form. Speaking with Impact News crew, a stakeholder of the initiative, Ibr92.5FM noted that the Education for All initiative is designed to support students who are performing beyond expectations to achieve the academic goals. Taiwo Olarewaje completes the report.
Education has been proven as an important medium to acquire skills, knowledge, and also the best legacy. Secret Days, a non-governmental initiative, Education for All, has again given the sum of 15,000 naira to over 90 public secondary school students in Oyo State for the purchase of their National Examination Council NECO form. Speaking with newsmen in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, the director of the organization and chairman of the Metropolitan Broadcasting Services, Amutajero, said the initiative has been in existence for some years and has been helping students to fulfill their dreams. Amutajero, who was represented by Ibr92.5FM, promised that it will continue to deliver on its goal to better the academic of students and help parents by ensuring that their words get the right support.
It's an initiative of Dr. Amutajero, the proprietor, founder of Impact Business Radio, Impact Africa Television, and it is to assist the less privileged, the indigent students in our public secondary schools in Ibadan. Knowing what he went through in his formative years, getting education, he is trying to see that the up-and-coming ones do not go through the same problems, do not follow the same route as it is. So as much as possible, is trying to assist indigent students in SS3 in public secondary schools in Ibadan.
Amutajero added that students who scored above 45% are the ones qualified for the opportunity. He also revealed that students who perform beyond expectations in their NECO examinations are also helped to the university level.
This year, we had 287 people who registered for the qualifying exam. Out of the 257, 254 wrote the examination, and out of these 254, we've been able to pick 94. But since we went to 88 last year, and the cutoff mark was equally 45, we said we cannot go below what we did last year, so we have now had 94 beneficiaries. And each beneficiary is taking a sum of 15,000 naira.
On his part, a school teacher, Mr. Ibr92.5FM, who came with students to collect the cash gift, thanked the facilitator and impact group for the cash gift. Ibr92.5FM assured that the money given to the students will be used for the purpose for which it was disbursed.
I really appreciate the impact group for the opportunity they have given our students to participate in this program and for the benefits they have acquired in it.
Also speaking, a guardian, Mrs. Eunice Adeton, appreciated the impact group for the kind gesture. She urged government at all levels to follow suit and improve the standard of education.
Being part of the initiative is a privilege for us. I want to say a big thank you to Impact Group. We really appreciate the opportunity given to our children, for which my daughter, Jo Adeton, has been privileged to be part of the beneficiaries. So our sincere prayer is that God will continue to meet your earnest heart desires.
Students who are beneficiaries of the initiative also showed their appreciation.
I really appreciate the departments that organized this program to foster the knowledge of the students and the one's brighter future for we students. So we say thank you, sir.
I appreciate them for giving us this opportunity. I'm going to make sure I use it for the purpose which it has been given to us for paying my NECO fees.
I really appreciate it. They will never lack. Then I'm very grateful for this opportunity.
Highlight of the event was cash presentation to the students. Taiwo Olariwaju, Impact Business Radio News.
In the meantime, Nigerians have called on government at all levels to prevent another industrial strike. From the Non-Academic Staff Union, NASO, and Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities, SANO, this is coming as the unions declared a 2-week warning strike to the federal government. In a statement, the national president of SANO, Ibrahim, and the general secretary of NASO, Peters Adeyemi, faulted the nonchalant attitude of the federal government to their demands. This has come in few weeks after students called on warring parties to reach an agreement to put a stop to the Academic Staff Union of University strike. Ayodele Fake has details.
The ongoing nationwide strike by the Academic Staff Union of Universities has no doubt expressly affected the country's university system. This is just as the leadership of the Academic Staff Union of Universities has said the ongoing 3-week-old nationwide strike will continue until the renegotiated agreement is implemented, even as the federal government said it does not have money to meet the demands of the striking members of the Academic Staff Union of Universities. Reacting, the chairman of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, University of Ibadan chapter, Professor Ayola Akinwale, persists that distrust, lack of communication, among others, are the bane of industrial strikes.
The current strike is the very last resort that we are forced to take because of government insensitivity to all our attempts at resolving the issue amicably. Remember, we suspended a strike action conditionally on the 23rd of December 2020. That's over 15 months ago. And that suspension was predicated upon a signed MOA with timelines on all the issues that we are tracking with government. Unfortunately, all those timelines have passed, they were lapsed way back June last year. But even at that, the unions still explore all possible means. We met with virtually those that matters in Nigeria. We met with the House of Representatives, met with the Senate, met with opinion leaders, met with government functionaries in a bid to resolving the issue amicably. But what do we have as response from government? Nonchalant attitude and unseriousness. So we were forced, as the very last resort, to take this strike action.
He also noted that the way out is for government to implement the renegotiated agreement.
He who is down fears no fall. Our people are already dejected. They are already disenchanted with the system. When we have a government that doesn't care about the welfare of its workers, the difference between somebody that is presently working and those that are actually not working. In fact, you discover that Nigerians will tell you those that don't have paid employment seem to have better because people will pity them.
Similarly, the chairman of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, University of Ilorin Chapter, Professor Moyosore Ajao, said strikes have always been the last resort, stressing that industrial actions are due to the non-implementation of the agreement by the federal government.
If the government wants this strike to end today, honestly, they know what to do. Because how do you will explain a 4-year renegotiation that ends in May 2021, and by March 7, when you have not implemented any part of it, you are already setting up another panel to renegotiate a renegotiated agreement. It just shows that Nigerians were not a serious nation, and our government is just interested in engaging ASU in talking.
On their part, some students decried the negative effects of incessant strikes on the students and the education sector. They, however, called for a concerted effort in putting an end to incessant strikes in the country's tertiary institutions.
Strike delays the students. When they want to graduate, they won't finish on time. Also, they tend to lose hope in the education system of the country. Then I also believe that even on the lecturers themselves, they won't be happy sitting at home, doing nothing for years. And then the government have the role to play in ensuring that they find a lasting solution to this strike.
Strike will always affect us, like delay things a lot. I'm supposed to be in 400 level and I'm still in 300 level now, like just 1 year has gone.
It has therefore become pertinent for all parties to resolve their disputes to foster peace and restore the education sector to its past glory. Ayodele Fakeye, Impact Business Radio News.
In another development, the Federal High Court in Abuja is threatening to strike out the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission suit against former Governor of Imo State, Rochas Okorocha. And as related today, Justice Inyang Ekwo noted that all efforts made by the Commission to effect service of court processes in Okorocha have been unsuccessful. Justice Ekwo had on the 22nd of February adjourned the arraignment until today, after the counsel to the EFCC pleaded with the court over the inability of the Commission to serve the senator. Okorocha is expected to be arraigned on a 17-count money laundering charge as the current senator representing Imo West Senatorial District. However, the EFCC informed the court today that the first defendant is yet to be served with a charge. Justice Ekwo granted the EFCC's prayer for another adjournment, however noted that if the Commission comes up with the same excuse in the next adjourned date, the matter will be struck out. He then adjourned the matter until the 30th of May. Meanwhile, the Federal High Court in Abuja has discharged and acquitted the former Minister of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs, Kabiru Turaki, of money laundering charges. Ruling on the matter today, Justice Inyang Ekwo upheld that the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has failed to link Turaki and his co-defendants with the offences contained in the 16 counts. It said the prosecution cannot establish a prima facie case against them. While describing the 12 witnesses relied on by the EFCC as tainted witnesses, Justice Ekwo said the defendant has dislodged all the evidence of the prosecution witnesses summoned in the matter during cross-examination. The judge further noted that Turaki is not a signatory to the account of the ministry and did not authorize any payment or make any transfer of funds as established during cross-examinations. It will be recalled that the EFCC in the 16th count had accused the ex-minister alongside his former special assistant Samson Okpatu of money laundering charges involving about 854 million naira. Turaki presided over the Ministry of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs from 2019, 2013 to 2015 and served as a supervising Minister of Labour from 2014 to 2015 in former President Goodluck Jonathan's administration. And moving on, the disclosed review of operational licenses of electricity generation and distribution companies has generated several questions from different quarters. This is coming in the face of the epileptic supply of electricity across some parts of the country. Ayodele Fakir completes the report.
The statement made by the Minister of Power, Abubakar Aliyu, that the federal government is monitoring and reviewing the operational licenses of electricity generation and distribution companies has continued to generate ripples. Ali had said, due to the poor service delivery in the sector, the government is exploring opportunities that will, in the short term, deliver the much desired results. Reacting, an activist, Ibr92.5FM said, it is quite unfortunate that the power sector was privatized to guarantee the provision of regular power supply. He also attributed the lack of power supply to low power output.
This is quite unfortunate because when the power sector was privatized, one of the things the new owner, which is today known as DISCO, promised Nigeria is that there will be an improvement over the amount of megawatts in the country. And unfortunately today, there has been a tremendous decline.
While speaking on the alleged change of the leadership of the distribution companies, Ibr92.5FM said this shows that the current management is a debtor.
An investor in IBDC by name Investment, Electricity Distribution and Marketing Limited is the major investor in IBDC, has been taken over by AMPON, that is the federal government institution. And the implication of that is that the IBDC can be said to be a collapsed, liquidated company. Privatization itself has failed because those who are running it are actually debtors.
On his part, the Oyo State Regional Communication Officer of IBDC, Frank Williams, said, although the challenges of power supply is due to the low output of electricity, it is, however, not permanent.
The challenges of power supply has always been is a Nigerian thing. The sharp drop you're experiencing is not from the DISCO's end, it's from generation. What we face, our focus is ensuring that the available power supply is fairly and evenly distributed.
Williams also said the review of operational licenses of electricity generation and distribution companies will no doubt increase electricity tariff as the companies may add up to the fund as operating expenses and pass the burden to the end users.
More injection of funds, which is a huge aspect of this business. It's a huge capital outlay. Then you talk about policy issues and all of that. So policy is government. So a lot of things have come in, spindle reserves, but more injection of funds, more megawatts. What do you think will come up? Increase in tariff?
Ibr92.5FM nevertheless said a revamp of the sector, devoid of corruption, is required, while Williams called for an attitudinal change in the society towards the power sector.
What is important is that to rescue the sector today ultimately require the need to take over the sector from the present owner and renationalize it under a democratic control of the working people and the consumers themselves.
There's need for a lot of change. Attitude to public resource, attitude to utility, attitude to let's look at it as if it's a national cake. No, it's business. Then we have to change our attitude to vandalism.
It is important for government to improve electricity supply as an adequate supply of electricity is beneficial to people as well as the development of the country. Ayodele Fakir, Impact Business Radio News.
The news is produced and edited by Mary Ojo. I am Bolabo, Famous Call. Good evening.
News.